Welcome back to
What
Tiger Ball. Here is my co-host
episode
Cody.
13?
Number 13, the quarter season review. Who's in, who's out, who's fake, and who's coming in.
Who's coming in? My name is Cody Carpentier. I'm your sidekick. You can find me on Twitter at Carpentier NFL. And with me, the host of the show, Tiger at NFL's youngest GM on Twitter. My brother. We haven't done a podcast together in probably since the season started. I think we did one right before the season started. We drafted a couple of teams, Underdog, and on ESPN. We did a little mock action. And then now today. So it's been probably 6 weeks. So we're through 4 weeks of the NFL season. Obviously, we had a Thursday night game. Let's talk through the quarter season review. We'll go through some of the teams that we think are fugazi. We'll talk about some of the teams that we think are legit. And then we'll dive into a couple of these 1-3 teams that we think have a chance. Because there's some 2-2 teams like the Kansas City, San Fran, New Orleans, Chicago, Washington, that I think we have an idea where they're headed. Like Washington, we think they have the team, but it doesn't look like the defense is going to repeat what they did last year. We kind of saw that with Chicago in years past. Chicago, they bring in Fields. Let's see what happens these next 2 weeks. They could either boom, go up, or they could just kind of be in that lull phase and they could sell out. San Fran's kind of in that same boat with injuries to Kittle, Jimmy G. I don't think we believe in New Orleans. They're just a biggest question mark probably in football right now is them. And then the 2-2 team, Seattle, Russell Wilson goes down on Thursday Night Football. And then obviously the best is Kansas City, 2-2, had a tough start to the season. So let's talk about these teams. Let's talk about who's in, who's out. But first, the last 2 weeks you've been to the Vikings game against the Browns and the Vikings game against the Seahawks. And what was your takeaways from those games?
Well, with the Seattle game, I thought it was pretty sick because, we just played good football the whole game. The defense in the second half didn't give up a single point. You can't ask for a better defense. Offense played good. Kirk played good. Kicker, offensive line,
all the way through.
receivers.
What changed for you, do you think, in the Cleveland game? Because there's not a lot of people that got to see both games every single play. You were at the Vikings game. You saw the Seahawks game where the tides turned really on that. It felt like that Chris Carson run when he did not get touched and he ran into the end zone and Seattle took that early lead. Was it 17-7 or something like that? It felt like at that time, everything turned and this defense really woke up. The defense didn't allow a single point in the second half. And then, of course, you come into the Browns game and they give up 14. They score 14 on us and they score 7. So it's 14-7, but they only scored one touchdown. So 1 touchdown in 6 quarters on defense. What was do you think this defense is legit? Do you think the Vikings are better than 1-3? What was your thoughts in that Cleveland game? The offensive line got manhandled.
I think that, honestly, in that Cleveland game, the only people who played good were the receivers and the tight end and the kicker and punter. But the kicker, he only had to make 1 extra point, so it's like
but the defense looked good, though. The defense only gave up 7 points that whole game. I think a lot of this falls on the offensive line.
I'd say
that Cleveland front seven was very, very looked very good.
Yeah. But Kirk also threw 2 picks, or was it only 1?
I think it was just 1.
Because we walked out after we left after they didn't convert on 4th and 3, and then we heard the horn go off in the stadium, and we thought they scored.
Yeah.
And
he threw 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked twice. Surprisingly, it wasn't like 6 or 7 because that offensive line was getting beat bad the whole game.
Yeah.
Do you think this defense is? Do you think this team has a chance?
I think this team is fine. They played. Look here, the Browns. What didn't you say they were like a top 4 team in football?
Yeah, Browns are one of the best teams in football. They're 3-1, but the AFC is loaded right now. The Browns are one of the best teams in football, top to bottom, roster, talent, converting. Like probably the best or second best run team in the NFL, probably next to Baltimore. That AFC North though is pretty stacked, and that's with Pittsburgh being 1-3. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then I mean you got like two super sick running backs. You got an offensive line to really end all offensive lines. I mean I know everybody on the offensive line is pretty. I don't even know if people on the Colts offensive line.
The
Like
Colts
they're
offensive line has been really banged up, but
yeah.
so I think we've come to the discussion that Cleveland is a real team. They're 3-1. They're currently the 8th seed via tiebreaker. There is there's 7 out of 8 teams in the AFC are 3-1 that are in the playoffs right now. The only team that's in the playoffs without a 3-1 record is the Tennessee Titans at 2-2, and that's because they're the AFC South divisional leader right now at 2-2. It's them at 2-2, Houston and Indy, and Houston and Indy are 1-3, and then Jacksonville 0-4. So, yeah, so that's the AFC is going to be a brutal one to get through. Currently, the standings are Chargers 3-1, Bengals 3-1, Buffalo 3-1, and then Tennessee 2-2. Those are your 4 divisional winners, and then your wild card teams go to Baltimore 3-1, Denver 3-1, Las Vegas 3-1, and Cleveland would be your first team out of the playoffs with a 3-1 record. That's because they're 1-1 in the conference, and the tiebreaker would be that. And Vegas is 3-1 in the conference, but Denver's 2-1. They just haven't played enough conference games to have the tiebreaker over them. So let's jump into the AFC top. Start at the top.
If the Bengals beat the Ravens, the Steelers, and the Browns, I will be so mad. Because the Bengals are like, what are they supposed to be, a bottom 5 team in football?
Well, they're not supposed to be a bottom 5 team because this is what you're seeing though. You're seeing Joe Burrow do what Joe Burrow was supposed to do, right?
Yeah. That's what he's supposed to do, and he's doing it right now.
And he looks pretty good doing it.
Took an offensive lineman over Jamar Chase, but
if they would have took an offensive lineman over Jamar Chase, I think see, that's weird because Jamar Chase made a couple of plays like the snag he made against Pittsburgh. Maybe they don't win that game against Pittsburgh? Like, is the difference really they won by 3 against Minnesota, they've won by 2 touchdowns against Pitt, 3 points against Jacksonville, they lost by 3 to Chicago. Like, are they real? At 3-1, are they real? They got Green Bay this week, Detroit next week, Baltimore, Jets, Cleveland, Vegas, Pitt, Chargers, San Francisco. They have a pretty tough schedule. If you look at the back half, this is how they end the season. After the bye in week 10, Vegas, Pittsburgh, Chargers, Niners, Broncos, Ravens, Chiefs, Browns. They play everybody. That's a tough schedule.
The only team in there that I can see that they have an over 50% chance to win that game is the Broncos.
But even that, the Broncos have a very strong defense. Top 5 easily in the NFL in defense. But it's just, I would say the best opportunity they have is Chicago or Pittsburgh. They already beat Pittsburgh.
Yeah. I can't say
I don't think you're going to beat Baltimore. I don't think you're going to beat Kansas City. And I don't think you're going to beat Cleveland late in the season, week 16, 17, 18. So if you end the season 0-3, I don't think you're going to be making the playoffs. So are we in consensus that Cincinnati is probably a season early? They're not going to be a team that makes the playoffs.
You know, I feel like right now, I mean, the teams they beat, I hate saying it, but like, they just ain't played that good. Besides, I mean, the Vikings played good. We're a fumble away from winning that game.
Well, think about this. Jacksonville, they were losing, 17-7 or 17-3 or something? And they won 24-21. They came back. Pittsburgh did not look good. They beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. That's a good win. They lost at Chicago, and then they beat Minnesota in overtime because of a fumble that shouldn't have been a fumble from Dalvin Cook. So this team is a couple plays away from being 1-3. So at 3-1, I'm going to call Cincinnati a fake. I think they're going to end the season at 8-9.
But for them, honestly, that will probably still put them in probably 3rd place.
In the division,
I hate saying that to my Steelers, but
yeah. So let's go to Chargers. The Chargers are currently sitting in the number 1 spot in the AFC with 3-1 record, obviously. What do you think about the Chargers? Do you think the Chargers are for real, or do you think they're for gays?
No, I don't know if I said this last year. I think I said something like Julio was going there or something. I might have in one video. And I think when you put that, I said I love the Chargers. I think they're gonna do good these next years. Last year, they weren't so good, but this year they're hot. I think they're gonna stay hot for at least 3 more games.
3-1. All three of their wins have come by 4 points against Washington week 1, 6 against Kansas City, and then they won by 14 on Monday Night Football against the Raiders this past week. They lost to the Cowboys by 3 points. The Cowboys are looking pretty good there at 3-1, so that's looking like a good loss. They got the Browns this week, Ravens next week, and then a bye. And then they go into New England, Philly, Minnesota, Pitt, Denver, Cincinnati, New York. At the end of the schedule seems to favor the Chargers more so than anything. You get Pitt week 11. Looks like Sunday Night Football. Denver, Cincinnati, New York. All 4 of those are winnable games. Kansas City at home in a dome week before Christmas. I think that's Thursday Night Football. At Houston versus
game.
Denver. At Las Vegas. A bunch of, look at this. They get Denver late in the season, but it's at home, so it's going to be in the dome. Houston, Vegas is in a dome. Kansas City's at home. New York is at home. Cincinnati's in Cincinnati. It's early December, so that'll be a cold game. At Denver late November, be a cold game. But that's it. They're not really going to get like a cold December game. They got lucky on Kansas City, New York, Denver, all those late in the season. I think this 3-1 Chargers team has a very good chance of winning 14 games. 14-3.
Honestly, I don't see them losing more than 5 games.
Not losing more than 5 games?
When the top of the division, the Chiefs can get kicked to the side. The Raiders, they'll finish in second. Chiefs will finish in third, which is kind of hard to say. They kind of got a good division there.
They got a good schedule. They got a good division. I think they could lose 14-3. I think is going to be tough, but 13-4, 14-3. I think is there. I think if they lose 2 games, they're going to lose maybe to Kansas City the second time they play them. Kansas City, we know of them they are tough. They got Minnesota play them tough. New England will play them tough. I think they'll win both of those games. At Baltimore is going to be a tough one in next week. Cleveland this week is going to be tough, but I think they're going to beat Cleveland. I think at Baltimore is going to be tough, and then they got to play Vegas. There's a couple games out here. They play Denver twice. They're going to lose 2 games.
Vegas will beat them.
I don't know if they'll lose 3 games though. This is going to be a good team. 14-3. That's my prediction. You say they're not losing more than 5, so that would put them at 12-5, worst case scenario. Let's get on a roll here though. Let's go to the AFC East quick. Buffalo 3-1. Buffalo's hot. They're really silent. They're kicking ass right now. Their defense is strong. They've given it up 23 points, 0 points, 21 points, 0 points. Dolphins and Houston, they've given up 0. Washington, they gave up 21, but they scored 43. The last 3 games, 35, 43, and 40 points scored going into Kansas City this week and Tennessee next week before a bye.
I mean, they really got to stop tearing themselves out against the Dolphins, scoring 35 points on them. Defense just no.
Defense is kicking it. Yeah, the defense is locking them down. So they got Kansas City this week, at Kansas City on Sunday Night Football. Next week, at Tennessee on Monday Night Football. And then they got a bye. And out of the bye, they go Miami, Jacksonville, Jets, Colts, New Orleans, and then New England. So that's 6 straight that they're going to rattle off before they hit Tampa, Carolina, New England, Atlanta. I think they beat the Jets twice. I think they beat Jacksonville. They're going to beat Miami. They're going to beat Atlanta. They're going to beat Carolina at home in the winter. Jets, Colts, Saints, they're going to win 10 more games. They're 3-1 right now. I don't see how they're not 13-4.
I don't see how they don't finish top of the division. Jets, they're not beating them. Honestly, I think that the Dolphins will finish at the bottom of the division. I think that the Patriots are definitely second place team.
Wait, that was a little sneaky bit you just put in there. You think the Jets are going to finish above Miami?
Yeah.
I like that.
I think so. I mean, I hate Zach Wilson.
So I think we think Bills, Pats, Jets, Dolphins.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, I
I think
hate
the
Zach
Dolphins.
Wilson, but I hate Tua so much more.
Well, Tua hasn't even been playing, but Zach Wilson's actually looked decent. Like right now, Zach Wilson looks better than Tua. Tough to say for a lot of people, but Zach Wilson last week showed a little something different. I want to see what he does against Atlanta this week. He played Atlanta. If he played Atlanta in Atlanta, I would be stoked. That would be a fun one to watch. So I think we're in
Yeah.
connection on Buffalo. Let's drop it down to Tennessee, a team we just talked about that plays Buffalo in 2 weeks.
Yeah, who they got in
Tennessee,
the division besides? I know they got Jacksonville, but who else they got?
Houston, Indy, and Jacksonville.
They kind of have an easy division.
Yeah,
Kind of
and they're
unfair.
2-2. Colts and Houston are 1-3. Jacksonville's 0-4. They play Jacksonville this week. They lost to the Jets last week. They beat the Colts and the Seahawks, and they lost to the Cardinals in week 1. Tennessee plays Jaguars this week. They get Buffalo, Kansas City next 2 weeks, Indianapolis, Rams, Saints, Houston, New England, late bye week, Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, San Fran, Miami, Houston.
I mean, just
I
saying
think I
what you
think
said there.
Tennessee is going to be just fine, but I don't think
I think they're gonna fall off.
you think they're going to fall off.
Honestly, I think they'll still win the division. I think they'll barely get into the playoffs, just ahead of the Colts. But I don't think they're gonna play that good.
I don't think they're going to play that good. You got a tough game. You got to travel to the Rams, Sunday Night Football. Colts, Kansas City
mean,
Chiefs, Bills. Those are your 4-game stretch.
they lose all 4 of those games.
They
I'm just
beat the
saying
Colts already, but now they get to go to the Colts.
Yeah, they're losing all 4 of those games.
You think so?
Yeah.
What do you think the record's going to be?
Record 8-9. Maybe 9-8. It's not going to be a good division.
Not going to be a good division. Yeah, I think Tennessee probably wins this division. I don't think Indianapolis turns it on. I think there's a chance they turn it on late. 1-3. T.Y. Hilton comes back in a couple weeks. I think there's a chance there. They get healthy. Quentin Nelson comes back. I think the Colts could be the team that does something at 1-3 with a similar schedule. But the thing with Tennessee is that defense is so bad. The Colts get Baltimore, Houston, San Fran, Tennessee, Jets, Jacksonville. Late season, they have at Bills, home against Tampa. They have a late week 14 bye, and then 4 winnable games at the end of the season. Home against the Patriots, at Arizona on Christmas, and then home against Vegas and home against Jacksonville. I think Indianapolis can close this out and win the division against Jacksonville in week 18. I'm taking the Colts at 9-8 to beat out Tennessee Titans at 8-9.
I mean, what I said before. I mean, it's going to be one of those 2 teams. You can't argue with that. If you say the Houston Texans are going to win the division, you are not smart.
I don't think anybody's
I
saying
mean,
that, but
it's going to be close. One team's going to be 8-9. One team's going to be 9-8.
yeah, I'm gonna go
I don't know which
Tennessee
one's going
going
to be, but
8-9 because of defense. I'm doing that because of defense because I don't think this Titans defense is gonna make it.
I mean, tell me a person on the Titans defense besides Kevin Byard.
I
Exactly.
don't even Christian Fulton,
I don't know who that is.
Jayon
They have
Brown.
Logan. They still have Logan Ryan. Probably not.
No, I think he's in the Giants. Back to the AFC North. We had Cincinnati as the fakes. We have them going 8-9. Baltimore is currently 3-1. Do you like Baltimore?
Nope.
Why?
I mean, I know I said on the Sunday Sifter that I said that they'd have a really good game. I don't know. Did Lamar throw for 350 yards?
Can Lamar throw for 350 yards?
Did he last week?
Does he have to?
Did he though last week?
I don't think he has to though, does he?
Well, no, I said because I said he's gonna throw for 350 yards. He's gonna go off
Yeah.
last week. I don't know if he did. No, the Browns are gonna win this division.
Browns, you got the Browns winning the division?
We'll just put that at that.
Okay, we'll talk about the Browns right now. Browns and Baltimore. I think Pittsburgh at 1-3. I think we have them at. We don't even got to talk about them. But you got Cleveland and Baltimore both. Cleveland and Baltimore both 3-1. How do they finish? Baltimore's last 4 games. Baltimore's last 5 games. Cleveland in week 14. Actually, they play week 12. Week 12, they get Cleveland versus Baltimore. They get Pittsburgh, and then Cleveland versus Baltimore again. And then Green Bay, Cincinnati, Rams, Steelers.
I mean, right there, Browns, Steelers, Browns. Triple loss right there.
Versus the Browns get Baltimore, bye week, Baltimore, Vegas, Packers, Steelers, Bengals.
I mean, I don't even
I think
know.
I'll take the Ravens.
No. No way.
I think I take the Ravens. Because they get Green Bay at home. They get Cincinnati. LA has to come across country and play in a winter game in Baltimore, and then they get Pittsburgh at home at the last game of the season. I think you end 4-0. I think you lose. I think you win the first game against Cleveland. You go to Pittsburgh. You come off that Pittsburgh game, and then you lose at Cleveland. And then you go Green Bay, Cincinnati, Rams, Pittsburgh.
Really,
Whereas
I think
Cleveland
they're gonna. I think they're going Browns, Steelers, Browns, loss.
You think they're going to lose to Green Bay, Cincinnati, and the Rams? I'm going Baltimore. I'm going Baltimore 11-6. Cleveland.
Here's what they'll do.
11-6.
They'll lose to the
Baltimore
Browns,
tiebreaker.
then they'll lose to the Steelers, lose to the Browns again.
Actually, 11-6 is steep.
Come back, beat the Green Bay, beat Cincinnati, and then lose to the LA
Rams and Steelers.
Rams will beat them.
I'll go 13-4.
I don't believe in Lamar Jackson.
13-4 Ravens.
Will.
I'm going 13-4 Ravens. 13-4 Cleveland. With the divisional tiebreaker going to Baltimore.
I don't even get tiebreakers.
Tiebreaker would mean that they would have a better record in the division. So, like playing against the Browns, the Bengals, and the Steelers, they're going to win. They're going to win more games in the division.
What if that's tied? What happens then?
If that's tied, then I think it goes to conference.
Oh.
Which means number of conference games played, and then it's like everybody, like Broncos, Colts, all that stuff. All right, we got a question in the chat. Let's answer this quick, and then we'll jump back into the AFC West. Damian Harris, Claypool, Rondale, or Pollard? You have to choose one? You have to choose one, or you have to choose two, or what's the question here? Wouldn't be a question. Pat Santero line is out. What's the question here? I would lean Damian Harris right now, but what's the how many you got to choose? Let's go to the AFC West. We already talked about the Chargers. Now let's talk about Denver, Las Vegas, and Kansas City. This is probably the biggest talking point in football right now is this AFC West. Obviously, the Chargers at the top right now. Kansas City's 2-2. We know Kansas City's they're a team. But what do we make of Denver and Las Vegas? I see you got the Raiders jersey on. What are you thinking? Shout out. If anybody in the chat can guess, anybody in the chat, hold the number. If anybody in the chat can guess who that jersey is.
18.
I'll follow you on Twitter and give you a shout out.
Yep.
If I don't already. Shout out Andrew John. He says, Damian Harris, Claypool, Rondale, and Pollard, pick 2.
Pick 2?
So we got Claypool playing against Denver at home.
Who's Rondale playing
Ronald Darby just came off IR today. They activated him. Patrick Surtain's a little banged up, so you're probably going to see a little Darby, little Surtain. Claypool's going to get his targets. I prefer Claypool over Rondale. Obviously, I like Damian Harris against Houston. I think no matter with the offensive line out or not, I think they're still going to scheme smart and they're still going to give him opportunities to run the ball. I still think Zeke's starting to get more of the ball in.
Yeah.
He's starting to get more of the ball in Dallas. So I'm leaning Damian Harris and Claypool here. It's tough for me though. I really like Pollard. I think my order would go Claypool, Harris, Pollard, then Rondale in this situation here.
No, I mean honestly, I want Rondale.
Shout out! He got it right. Turn
Mhm.
around, Tiger. Show it to him. Randy Moss, baby. There he is. 18. Appreciate you. Appreciate the love, man. Appreciate that. Back at the AFC West, though. Denver, Las Vegas. Are they real, Tiger?
Denver, Las Vegas. Denver.
Defense is real. The defense is real, though, right? They've had so many injuries. The injuries are killing them right now. Okuibunam just got put on IR today. Sutton nicked up his ankle in practice yesterday. Jerry Judy's out with an ankle injury. Hamler tore his ACL. Like a complete, like they've been playing great. But the thing is, they played the Giants 27-13, the Jaguars 23-13, the Jets 26-0, and then they lose to the Ravens at home 7-23.
You should be winning all those games.
They did. They won all three of those games. New York, Jacksonville, New York. But then they have a real test, and it's Baltimore, and they score 7, and their defense allows 23 against a good team. Their defense has been the sticking point of this team, and then a good team comes in and beats them. So this test this weekend against Pittsburgh is going to tell you if they're complete fugazi or if they're a little ahead of Pittsburgh, where Pittsburgh puts them as like right on the bubble of the wild card. I think that's where Denver belongs. I think Denver should beat Pittsburgh today, but that's why they're a 1-point dog in Pittsburgh tomorrow. Then they get the Raiders next week. Cleveland. This is a tough 3-game stretch.
I didn't know the Broncos are 3-1. I'm just saying, if you're watching ESPN in Week 18, you know what I'm seeing? I'm seeing the Raiders, or not the Raiders, the Broncos and the Chiefs in the hunt.
The Chiefs are going to be in the playoffs. That's not even a question.
No, they're not.
What?
Chiefs are not in the playoffs.
Right now, they're not. Right now, the Chiefs are not in the playoffs.
They are not making the playoffs. Chiefs are not making the playoffs.
Wait. The Chiefs are what?
Not in the playoffs. Hot take of the
century. They're not going to make the playoffs?
No.
What? How?
Raiders are too good.
You serious right now?
Yeah.
I love this take, bro. Are you serious?
Yeah. Also, to the dude who guessed, I feel like he probably got it right, but he also just might have Googled it. Number 18.
It's tough to Google jersey number 18 for the Raiders. Like, that's kind of tough. So the take is Denver's fugazi, but the Raiders and the Chargers are too good that they're going to have enough to hold off Kansas City.
Yeah.
Let's pull up Kansas City's schedule here.
Going to get upset a couple times.
Kansas City's got Buffalo this week at home. Buffalo's going to be a tough game.
They're losing.
You lose that game, you're 2-3.
2-3.
They go to Washington. They go to Washington next week. I think they blitz.
Honestly?
They blitz Washington. They're going to beat Washington. Don't give me that shit. 3-3. Then they go to Tennessee. I would not be
surprised if Washington beats them. Washington is a good football team.
Ha ha ha. They're 3-3 coming out of Washington. Then they go to Tennessee. They're going to go to Tennessee.
They're beating Tennessee.
So they're 4-3, and then they come home on Sunday Night Football and they play the Giants.
They're beating the Giants.
And then they get Green Bay.
Where?
In Kansas City in November.
Battery thing.
I think Green Bay wins that game. And then they go to Las Vegas on Sunday Night Football.
Well, guess what? Derek Carr's no match.
5-5.
No, that's not what I meant. I meant Derek Carr. He's too good.
5-5, leaving Las Vegas, and then they come home and they get Dallas.
Dallas beat or they lose to Dallas or no, they beat Dallas.
They beat Dallas at home. They go into a bye week 6-5. They come out. They get Denver and Las Vegas back-to-back games at home. I think they win both of those.
I think they go into the.
They're not going to lose both. So they're going to be 8-5. They're going to beat Denver at home. They're going to beat Las Vegas at home, and then they're going to go to Kansas City, or they're going to go to the Chargers. You think they lose to the Chargers at the Chargers? So that's 8-6.
Chargers beat them.
And then they get home against Pittsburgh.
I mean,
win.
It's at home. Pittsburgh will probably
9-6, and then you go to Cincinnati and to Denver to finish.
Not Cincinnati, but Denver. That should be a good football game.
So you're saying 10-5.
They'll make the playoffs.
10-5 makes it.
I say 9-8.
Did I say 10-5? I meant 10-7. So I'm going 10-7. That's a lot of games, dude. That's a lot of games to lose.
They're not making the playoffs.
I'm going 11-6.
Making the playoffs.
I'm going 11-6. You're going 9-8. All right. Is your charger gonna die?
5%.
Can you go get a charger?
I don't know where I can plug it in at.
I can do a little 3-minute intermission. I can talk and you can jump off, and then you come back in like 3 minutes. Go get a charger and then plug it in. Can you do that? Like just stay. Don't touch anything. Just go get a charger.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Go get one. All right. Let's jump into. I'll bring back the corner from this morning. I did an episode on the corner. If you didn't watch it, please go right down here. Click the subscribe button. Go to the channel at Cody Carpentier on YouTube. You can check out the corner every Friday. Usually airs on Friday mornings, Friday afternoons. This week it aired on Saturday morning. The corner 5 props of the week. Kyle Pitts gets the Jets over 58.5. We love that. We love Kyle. We love, let's see here. We love Kyle Pitts over 58.5. Keenan Allen in a get-right game. He's been getting all the targets. All the targets you need, Keenan Allen's been getting them for you. Why not go after Keenan Allen? 73.5. Jacoby Brissett, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 275 to Mac Jones, 343 to Matt Stafford, 300 to Matt Ryan, and 403 to Dak Prescott. This is going to be a big game. Gesicki's going to eat. Waddle's going to eat. Parker's going to get his opportunities. Gaskin's going to get a couple opportunities, hopefully. Elbow Wilson's going to get some opportunities. I think Brissett smashes his 233. He ends up with a 260 to 280 area. Trey Lance over 46.5 rushing yards. Trey Lance had 41 rushing yards in 1/2 last week. 50% passing percentage. They're going to come out running the ball. They want to run the ball. They want to give Lance the ball, and they want to see what he can do. And the easiest way to do that is to feature your young running back in what he can do best. And what does he do best? He runs the ball. Over 46.5 rushing yards. Shit, he might do that in the first half. Smash Trey Lance over 46.5. Cole Kmet, the sleeper of the week at tight end. If you're streaming tight ends, Cole Kmet is your dude. 26.5 receiving yards. Chicago wants to use him. Allen Robinson's due for a game. Darnell Mooney had a good game last week. Obviously, Montgomery's out. He's on IR. It's Khalil Herbert. It's Damian Williams. Damian Williams is a little nicked up. They're going to want to pass, run with Fields a little bit. I think Cole Kmet is going to be a feature. I think you're going to see him go over 50, 60 yards, and he's a viable streaming option during the week number 5 slate. And then the San Francisco 49ers, for the same reasons I just said about Trey Lance over 46.5. 49ers plus a half in the first quarter. They're going to come out. They're going to run the ball. They're going to be slow. They're going to score on the first drive. They're going to get ahead, and it's not going to give enough time on the clock for Arizona to go down and score. That's my process here. I think plus a half, you get the tie and you get the lead for San Francisco. So it's pretty much draw or lead the end of the first quarter. I'm sorry. I love that with San Francisco. And then my prop of the week goes to Kadarius Toney. 50.5 receiving yards for Kadarius Toney. Obviously, Shepard is out again. Slayton is out again. It's Toney. Golladay gets Trevon Diggs, and then John Ross, Evan Ingram. Give me the Kadarius Toney over. Now, Tiger's not back yet, so I'm going to keep rumbling into the AFC. We just talked about the AFC West. Tiger has his hot take that Kansas City's not going to make the playoffs. I think that's complete fugazi. But the Las Vegas Raiders. What do I love about the Las Vegas Raiders? They have the it factor. Yeah, we had some negative news come out this week against John Gruden. Talking a little fugazi, but they get Chicago this week at home. They got Denver next week at Denver, and then they get a home game against Philadelphia. All three of those games are very, very winnable. You're talking about a football team going 6-1 into a bye week, and then you come out of that bye week, travel to the Giants, come back home against Kansas City, home against the Bengals, at Dallas. I like those two stretches there. I think you can easily get through those stretches at 8-3, 7-4, home against Washington, 8-4. Worst case scenario. I think 8-4 is a good spot to be in going into Kansas City and into Cleveland in week 14 and 15. Because if you come out of that with two losses against Kansas City and Cleveland, you're 8-6. And then you have home Denver at Indianapolis, 10-6, going into week 18 against the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are going to have the division wrapped up by then. And you're 10-6. And if you beat the Chargers in week 18, you're going to have the tiebreaker over Kansas City, likely. And you're going to make the playoffs if you can beat Kansas City once coming down the stretch here, which I think they can do. And I think they're going to have a better divisional record because Kansas City will lose to them once and the Chargers twice. Give me the Las Vegas Raiders at 11-6. Actually, I'm going to go 10-7. 10-7 is tough though, because 7's a lot of losses, sitting at 3-1 right now. I think they can start 6-1, end up 8-4. Move that through. I think 10-7 is a good spot. That's a good season for the Raiders. I think 11-6 is a very, very good season. Looks like a couple more players that are out this week. Just looking at those. If you haven't before, Sunday morning, 11:30 Eastern time, me and Tiger right here will be on the Sunday Sifter on this exact same channel. We'll be going through starts, sits, and other questions you might have in the chat Sunday mornings at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Please jump on this. Please jump on the stream. We'll be going live right at 11:30. We're talking ball and doing all that stuff, setting lineups. Me and him sit down. We set all of our lineups from the Scott Fish Bowl to our home leagues, answer all of your questions to the best of our abilities, and we get ready to have a goddamn Sunday. So as Tiger gets back, let's drop down to the worst teams in this division or in the conference. Miami 1-3. Tiger already said he thinks Miami ends up being the worst team in the AFC East. So that elevates New England. That elevates the Jets. I think both of these teams have a lot of upside, and I think they end up being 6-win teams, 7-win teams, just on – they have the different factor that Miami seems to have lost. Last year, Miami had like the itch to go win, the itch to push through in all these games that they simply don't have this year. I think we see that with New England. I think we see it with the Jets. I think both teams can win 6, 7, 8 games. They're not going to push Buffalo for anything, but they should finish good. Jacksonville – I think Jacksonville and Detroit should be teams that are in full tank mode. Both teams should be racing to go 0-16. If Jacksonville, the only thing you would say for Jacksonville why they don't is because they don't want to instill losing in Trevor Lawrence, which is they weren't in the situation to draft the Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence just fell into their laps in a rebuild process like Jacksonville had going on and has going on. Trevor Lawrence was not the right pick, but in that situation, you can't pass on him, right? I think the proper thing to do, in my opinion, a lot of people who don't like this, would be to trade out. You have the number one pick with that type of talent there. You trade out of that and you draft down. Imagine dropping down to the teens and getting, the early, 11, 12, 13, and getting a Justin Fields there or a Mac Jones there and recuperating all those picks. Say you could have flipped that number one pick in 2021 for a number one 2022, number one 2023, number one 2024, a player or two. I would have loved to have seen Jacksonville do that because the team's not good. That's the problem here is Jacksonville's 0-4. They're going to end up going 1-16, 2-15. They're not going to be a good team. Detroit, Kayvon Thibodeau has got to be the goal. And with that, though, I think Jacksonville, if they don't get the number one pick and take Thibodeau, I think Jacksonville needs to trade out of the top 3 pick as well this year to a team that maybe needs a quarterback, maybe needs something else that is available to top. We know the quarterbacks this year are not the best, but I think the options are there for Jacksonville to trade out. Looks like Tiger's jumping back on. Tiger, what's up, my brother?
Oh, not much.
Are you back?
Barely.
Back to chat with the NFC? Whoop!
Yeah.
Getting that thing situated?
Mhm.
All right.
I got
15
a
minutes.
charger.
15 minutes. Let's blitz through the NFC quick. Obviously, let's start at the top. Everybody saw the thumbnail before they clicked on the video. Kyler Murray. We got this later
MVP.
question. And the MVP prediction, let's just jump to it now because I know where you're going with this. You said it early before the season started. Who's your MVP prediction? Are you sticking with your preseason prediction?
I'm sticking with him.
And who was that?
That's Kyler Murray. I mean, there are a couple of guys that I could see changing my mind. Looking at Matt Stafford with an actual team. Because I love picking the underdog.
Yeah.
I can't. If I had to bet on one dude to win the MVP right now, I bet on Kyler Murray.
You're betting on Kyler Murray?
You're probably not making that much money by doing that if you bet, but you're still making money.
I can look at the bets right now, but I think an underrated one is obviously Derek Carr. If the team obviously didn't look good against the Chargers, but Carr is one that he's probably not going to win it, but he's going to be in the conversation. Justin Herbert, I think, has to be at the top of the list right now. He just looks and feels like he's on a different level than anybody else. I think that's your one competition is going to be Stafford and Herbert for that MVP. Is that you would still stick with Kyler Murray through that?
I will. I mean, you're saying Derek Carr. When you say that, the moment you say Derek Carr, I think of the fact the Raiders Gridiron Heights music video with Carr, Cooper, and Crabtree. Or
Yep,
I think of another Gridiron Heights video of the MVP race last year, and then it was a snowboarding hill, or skiing and stuff, and the mediocre QBs were up in the place where you get hot chocolate and stuff. And then Derek Carr was doing a poem reading, and he says he wants to go far, but he's just another used car. And anytime I hear his name, that's all I think of.
He's just another used car. That's pretty good. So if anybody was listening to an earlier episode of Tiger Ball, we talked through before the season. When we talked about MVPs, we talked about most passing yards in the season. We made a couple of bets. We made 3 bets before the season. Do you remember those 3 bets that we made, Tiger?
I think it was for most passing yards. Which we bet on Cousins, I think.
We bet on Cousins for the most passing touchdowns. We bet on 3 guys for the most passing yards, though. We got Derek Carr at plus 3,700. He's currently, on Thursday night, Stafford played, so Stafford's now ahead of him. But after week 4, it was Derek Carr. He's leading the NFL 13.99 to 13.56 from Tom Brady. And then we bet on Kyler Murray, like you just said, at plus 4,100. Kyler Murray's third right now in passing yards. It's Derek Carr, Tom Brady, Kyler Murray. And then the safe pick we made, which was more of this is likely what's going to happen, but we're betting him for safety, kind of to hedge, and then Derek Carr and Kyler Murray are our 2 swings. We swung on Derek Carr. We swung on Kyler Murray. Right now we're hitting really hard, and our safety net is Patrick Mahomes, who is sitting there at number 4. So it's Derek Carr, Tom Brady, Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes. So we hit on 3 of those 4 guys.
Hopefully Hopefully those guys at the end of week 4 or end of week 5, at least one of them, at least we get first, second, or fourth.
That's how we've been sitting all season, though. It's been Carr, Murray, Brady. That's how it's been, all 4 of those guys. So I'm happy with that.
I mean,
Brady, the one miss we do have, though. What's up?
I mean, I think I actually said we should bet on Brady for something. I don't know. I don't really like Brady that much anymore.
Yeah, Brady's a tough one. The receiving one that we put out was we bet on Calvin Ridley to have the most receptions.
I did not bet on that.
He currently has 27. He's 4 behind Devontae Adams for second, and he's 10 behind Cooper Kupp for first. So he's top 10. He's just not there.
Garbage. He's terrible.
He's actually 9th. It's him, Woods, Keenan Allen, Brandon Cooks. So he's all right. He's all
I saw
right.
a
We like
video
that bet still.
of this dude saying top 15 favorite receivers this year. This was like week 1. I saw this, and you know who it said? It was like before the first game of the season. This dude said, I don't remember who everybody was. I know he put like Justin Jefferson at like 4 or something, so the list was garbage. But he put Calvin Ridley at 11, and that's all I remember about. And I know that that's true.
Wide receiver 11?
Yeah.
That's not bad. I mean, that's kind of where he's at right now.
I would say he's a wide receiver 11. I was seeing him go where Tyreek, Devontae Adams would go. Honestly, I hate both those guys, but they're good. Calvin Ridley's going up there, but he's not good. I don't know where Calvin Ridley came from. He's so far up. He should be chilling down there with Jamar Chase and Deebo Samuel, waiting down there to get picked.
But instead, he's going at the end of first round. He's currently wide receiver 22. Wide receiver 22. And his ADP going into the season was 13.
That's a little bit too far, 22.
He was getting picked 13th overall in drafts. So that's literally the end of the first round, start of the second round. And he's currently wide receiver 22.
If you pick him at the 13th overall pick, you lost your mind.
You're a fish. Is that what you think?
Yeah. You have no idea what
All right.
doing.
So we just went through the AFC. It took us 45 minutes. Let's go through the NFC in 10 minutes because I think we just talked about Arizona. They're 4-0. Do we believe in Arizona? I like Arizona, but I do not believe in their secondary.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I don't really care if they're winning the division.
They're winning the division?
That's just that. Yeah.
Period. Winning the division. They got San Fran this
no
week.
Offensive line. Their defense sucks, but they win the division.
San Fran this week. Cleveland, Houston, Green Bay, San Fran, Carolina, Seattle. At Seattle is going to be tough. Home against Carolina should be a win. At San Fran is going to be tough. Home against Green Bay is going to be tough. Home against Houston is going to be a win. At Cleveland is going to be a loss. They should win tomorrow against San Fran, but I think San Fran's got an edge. Byron Murphy's out. So that's 2 games that they could win between now and the bye week that I think are easy. So that's 6 and 5. They should win another game. So call it 7 and 4 going into the bye. You come out of the bye. You go to Chicago.
They would not.
Home against the Rams. At Detroit versus Indy. At Dallas versus Seattle. Can they win 11 games?
They probably lose 2 of those games.
I got Arizona at 11 wins. I got Arizona 11 wins.
Honestly, they're just going to win the division.
All right, so let's talk about the other NFC West teams then. The Rams.
The only doubt in my mind is the Rams. The Seahawks and the 49ers,
I'm not worried about the Seahawks and Niners.
They're not winning the division. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to all you San Francisco people. I don't care who you're.
It's the Rams and it's the Cardinals. So the Rams this week get the Giants. They get the Lions next week. They get Houston. They get Tennessee. And then they go to San Fran before the bye. That's 5 W's. Right?
Yeah.
That's 9-1 going into the bye. Then you come out of the bye.
One loss out of those ones.
Who are they going to lose to? At San Fran? They're not losing to Houston. They're not losing to the Lions. They're not losing to New York. Tennessee?
But you never know. You gotta. The upsets happen.
You think that so the 2 upsets you're looking at are Tennessee and San Fran. Are they losing to Tennessee?
When I'm saying this, I'm saying that they might lose one.
Okay, so Tennessee and San Fran, both night games. Listen, Tennessee and San Fran, both night games. Are they losing either of those games?
In my opinion, no, but they might because it's an upset.
Okay, let's count them as losing one of those games. So that's 8-2 going into the bye. You come out of the bye, you go to Green Bay. We think that's a loss.
Probably.
So 8-3. Jacksonville, 9-3. At the Cardinals, 9-4. Home against
Yeah.
Seattle, 10-4.
Dub.
At Minnesota, 10-5. At Baltimore, 10-6. Home against the 49ers,
No.
11-6.
They'll beat them. They'll beat the Ravens.
We just talked about the Ravens earlier, and we said that they were going to beat the Rams because it's a travel all the way across from Los Angeles all the way to Baltimore, and it's going to be a winter game.
Oh, I forgot about that. I just don't like the Ravens choices.
I'll go 11-6 on the Rams. That's the same record I gave the Cardinals.
I mean, it's definitely those two. They're both making playoffs.
And then we think San
100%.
Fran falls off, and we think Seattle falls off, right?
Yeah.
San Fran is currently 2-2. I'm assuming they're going to end up being a 500 team. 9-8 maybe.
Yeah.
Then we got Seattle, who without Russell Wilson right now, and it's projected to be 6 to 8 weeks without him. I'm hanging the phone up on them. They're not going to win very many games. They might win 5 games without Russell Wilson.
I mean, they got my boy Geno Smith there now. But, he ain't doing
So what?
crap.
6-11. 6-11.
Honestly, the only reason I like Geno Smith is because the name Geno's kind of sick.
Yeah, that's a pretty good name. Pittsburgh, New Orleans, loss. Home against Jacksonville should be a win. At Green Bay, Arizona, Washington, San Fran, Houston should be a win. Rams, home against Chicago, Detroit. That's 3 wins. You get Detroit, Houston, Jacksonville, 3 pretty easy W's. So that gives them to 5. And they probably win 1 or 2 others. That's 6 or 7 wins for Seattle. 7-10 maybe. Like that's best I see without Russell Wilson. Right now, I'm projecting that they're going to be without Russell Wilson for a while.
At least.
So now let's go on. We just finished AFC West or the NFC West. Let's go NFC North really quick. Green Bay, I think, wins the division.
Nope. Vikings don't at
Shut
me.
up. You can't be biased. You can't be biased.
I'm not biased. I think they will.
Green Bay's got a really good team. Green Bay is 3-1. They got Cincinnati this week. They should win. Chicago next week. They should win. Washington should win. They should be 6-1. Go into Arizona. We just talked about that one. I think that's going to be a really good game. Sunday or Thursday night football. Short week. I'll take Green Bay on a short week. Actually, I'll take Green Bay on a short week against Arizona, and then they lose in Kansas City. So you're looking at 7-2. Home against Seattle, 8-2. At Minnesota, 8-3. Home against the Rams, 9-3. Bye week. Home against the Bears, 10-3. At Baltimore, 10-4. Cleveland, 11-4. Minnesota, 12-4. Detroit, 13-4.
No, they're losing to the Browns.
To the Browns at home?
Yeah.
12-5.
Browns are a good team.
I know they are. We just talked about them. We have them at 13-4.
I know. If you play Browns this season, you should be scared.
I like the Browns. So let's talk about Minnesota. I think we both think Minnesota is number 2 in this division.
Yeah.
Cincinnati, Arizona, Cleveland, all 3 one-possession losses. They lost by 7 to the Browns. They only gave up 1 touchdown. They lost by 1 to the Cardinals, missed a field goal. They lost to Cincinnati by 3 in overtime because Dalvin Cook fumbled. Then they beat Seattle by 13 at home. I think we like this team. I think they beat Detroit this week. I think they have a very good game against Carolina next week. That's going to be, I think Carolina is where Minnesota feels. Carolina's 3-1. I think both these teams are very similar. I think that's going to be a tough game. I'm actually going to be at that one. Tim and Sutton are flying down. We're going to go to that game next weekend against Carolina. That should be a really fun one. I can't wait to see them. I haven't seen the Vikings since pre-COVID. pre-COVID, actually. So I think they beat Detroit. I think it's a tough game against Carolina, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt going into the bye at 3-3. They come out, they get Dallas at home on Halloween night. I think that favors Minnesota a lot. That's at home. That's on Halloween night. That crowd gets rowdy on Sunday nights. They're already loud at noon games. Sunday night at home, I think that's going to be an advantage to Minnesota over Dallas, 4-3. 2 Baltimore and 2 Los Angeles back-to-back weekends, all the way to Baltimore, all the way to LA. I think that's going to absolutely be brutal. And then they come back home and get Green Bay. So I think they come out 4-3, they beat Dallas. I think they lose one of Baltimore or Los Angeles. That puts them at
I think they lose. I think they win Baltimore, lose to Los Angeles. That's kind of hard to go like across the country. Or I guess not really across the country. You gotta go like 2-3 states down. What's that? A 3-hour flight?
That's a long flight. It's a
2 hours.
5-hour flight, and your time changing. So you think they beat Baltimore, lose to the Chargers? They're going to be 5-4 coming home against Green Bay. We talked about that. We think they beat Green Bay 6-4 at home, but they're going to lose to Green Bay on the road, obviously. 6-4, 2 San Fran, and then 2 Detroit. They go back out west to play San Fran. That's going to be a toss-up game because San Fran is going to be tough, and we always go out. We always struggle in San Francisco. I would go 7-4. I think the team's going to be clicking at that point. 8-4 against Detroit. Home against Pittsburgh is going to be always tough. 8-5 at Chicago. 8-6. Home against the Rams. We counted that as a win for the Vikings earlier when we were talking about the Rams. 9-6 at Green Bay. 9-7, and then home against the Bears is another tough one. But I'd go 10-7.
Yeah, I mean,
you like that?
I just hate saying the fact that you're going to win the division.
No.
I hate saying it.
So we're out on the Lions, obviously, but the Bears have a little bit. They're 2-2. I think we're not believers in the Bears. I think we need a lot to see. This next couple games with Justin Fields is going to be big in to see what happens. They get the Raiders this week on the road. They get home against Green Bay, at Tampa, versus San Francisco, at Pittsburgh, home against Baltimore. An absolutely brutal stretch the next couple of weeks. This could really tank their season if they lose this weekend, lose to Green Bay, lose to Tampa. You're talking about 2-5 football team playing San Francisco at home, and who knows where San Francisco is going to be. That's a big question mark team right now. If they beat San Francisco, it's 3-5. Go to Pittsburgh on a Monday night, 3-6. Your season's kind of lost by then, and we think Chicago is probably not going to make it. We got them at 7. What's up?
I think Justin Fields, in my opinion, Jaguars took T-Law. That's a smart pick. There's a nice pick after that. The Jets took
Zach Wilson.
Should have been Justin Fields. Justin Fields is the second best QB in that class.
Yep. Yeah. 100%. 100% agree.
I mean, maybe because Mac Jones has Bill Belichick, but I don't really think so.
I'm not there on that. Let's go back to the NFC South, and we'll go to the NFC East and wrap it up. We're closing in on 1 hour right now, so let's cut this thing. We want to be done at an hour. We got a couple more things to talk about. Let's split through them really quickly. NFC East, Dallas is the clear-cut leader right now at 3-1. We think it stays that way. The team is just quite a bit better than everybody else in this division. The Eagles, we love. We love Jalen Hurts. Don't shake your head because I know you're going to go Jalen Hurts. I love Jalen Hurts, but this team is not there.
I'm shaking my head because the football team, I think my earbuds just died. The football team will win the division.
Really?
Yeah.
They got Kansas City, at Green Bay, at Denver, Tampa, Carolina.
I mean, you heard when we were talking about Kansas City. What did I say? I said that they might win that game.
That's true. But this is how Washington ends the season. If they get hot at the end of the season, I could see it. But what if Gibson goes down? Gibson has he has fractures in his ankle, in his shin right now.
Honestly, if Gibson or McLaurin goes down, I'll lose. literally all my faith in them.
Yeah. They play the last 5
The
games of the
single
season.
piece of the guys, it's gonna ruin the whole thing.
Listen to this schedule, how they end the season. At Vegas, home Dallas, at Philly, at Dallas, home Philly. So it's Dallas, Philly,
That's
Dallas,
just too
Philly, Giants.
confusing.
Dallas, Philly, Giants. That's how it ends the season for Washington.
Dallas Giants.
Isn't that stupid?
Yeah,
Whoever made that schedule needs to get fired.
honestly,
For Dallas, it's Washington,
probably
Giants,
Giants, maybe.
Washington, Arizona, Eagles. I'm
Yeah.
taking Dallas. I'm taking Dallas to win this division.
No, they're winning the. I know they. I have faith. I have faith. I don't even remember the other team. Oh yeah, New York. New York's finished in the bottom of the division. Saquon Barkley. Honestly, I love him. I said he was the second best QB, or not QB, running back. Yeah, that's no.
I think Dallas
Every
goes
time I
11 and
draft
6.
him, I have a lag on me.
Yeah, you're lagging pretty hard right now.
You are too.
You're still there?
Yeah.
All right. Let's wrap this up pretty quick. We just talked about every division except for the NFC South. I think Tampa's pretty clear. We like Carolina, but I still think they're a year early. Your thoughts?
Honestly, I agree. They're not. Who's it? They got those two. They got the Saints. Who's the other team?
Atlanta.
Oh, okay. I forget about those teams sometimes. Yeah, New Orleans was number 3, then Carolina and Tampa. Carolina, or I'd say that New Orleans is going to give Tampa a run for their money for second place, but
I think
I
Tampa
think
could run the table. I think Tampa can run the table and win everything.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised.
Listen to the schedule.
Super Bowl winners.
Listen to the schedule. Home against Miami this week.
Dub.
At Philadelphia next week on a short week. Chicago at home.
Dub.
At New Orleans.
Dub.
Washington. Giants. Colts. Falcons.
Lost. Dub.
We losing to Washington?
Yep.
You're so dumb. That's 10-2 going into Buffalo.
They're a good team.
That's 10-2 with Buffalo coming. Listen, that's 10-2, and Buffalo travels from Buffalo, New York, up in Canada, all the way down to Tampa.
In Canada.
It's gonna be a tough game. That'll be a good game. And then it's
Picking
New Orleans, Carolina, New York, and Carolina. So they could win.
Dub.
I think this is your 14-3 team from the NFC.
But did I say they play Carolina back to back?
Carolina, New York, Carolina.
Oh, I heard Carolina.
Carolina, New York, Carolina.
I was gonna say
14-3. So in recap, our number 1 teams in order in the AFC in the NFC. Tampa is the number 1 seed. Green Bay is the number 2 seed.
Yeah.
Arizona is the 3 seed. Dallas is the 4 seed. The first
No.
What?
I did not say that.
Dallas is the 4 seed.
Dallas is not winning that division.
The Rams are the 5 seed. The Vikings are the 6 seed. And then the last wild card is up to Carolina and San Francisco. Maybe
Washington.
Chicago? Washington.
No. Washington.
If they don't get hurt.
Seahawks if the QB didn't just die. But
okay. And then the AFC we have Chargers at number 1. And then we have Bills, Baltimore, and Cleveland, all 13-4.
You're idiot.
I'm an idiot?
No, I'm saying we're idiots. The Chargers are the best team in football.
Best team in the AFC. All right. So we just went through everything. We think the recap goes: who's fugazi, who's real. The sleeper team from the AFC, the sleeper team from the NFC non-biased. We actually think it's Minnesota because they're 1-3 and they still have one of the best defenses in football. That's the team that's not in the playoffs right now that we project to be in the playoffs. And then in the AFC, the team that's not in the playoffs that we project to be in the playoffs is Cleveland at 3-1, Kansas City at 2-2. We think both of those make the playoffs. But I think the bigger
I don't
takeaway
really
is we think
that
Denver.
they're a sleeper.
Huh?
I don't really think that Browns are really a sleeper.
They're not really a sleeper, but it's just like a team that's not in the playoffs. Like Tennessee's the team that maybe Tennessee and Denver are two teams we don't believe in. Cincinnati, I guess, more than anything. We don't think Cincinnati makes the playoffs at 3-1 right now. We think they're the team that's fugazi. So that's kind of the takeaways we have from there. Let's finish it with this, Tiger.
Chiefs,
I'm going to give my super.
Chiefs,
I'm going to finish it with
the playoffs. Suck. Mahomes can't throw. Travis Kelce has speed. Actually, the other way around. Wait, no. I think Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill. Who knows? Travis Kelce's the best player on that team. No doubt. Mahomes is not the best QB anymore.
You want to talk about the Super Bowl now?
Super Bowl? Honestly,
yeah,
I don't really
prediction
have.
for Super Bowl. I want to end. I want to
out.
finish it. Dude, let me talk for 1 minute, bro.
Says you.
1 minute. Huh? I want to
Says
tee you up. I want to tee you up. I want to tee you up.
Okay.
For Super Bowl pick. Let's finish this podcast. It's an hour and 10 minutes. We're way too long. Hour and 7 minutes. Super Bowl prediction. I'm going Buffalo and Dallas.
Okay.
What do you got? Finish it out.
You know, for the NFC, I got two teams. I don't know who's going to win it. Between the reigning Super Bowl champions and the Cardinals. I don't know which one's going to be. One of those two's making the Super Bowl. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. But, I mean, you see my jersey on and you know who's making the Super Bowl. Raider Nation. He wants to go far, but he's just another used car.
So you're going Raiders, Tampa.
Raiders, Tampa, or Raiders, Arizona.
Send it. Tiger Ball, episode 13.